Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. It is time to wrap up this Crumb Quilt Adventure series. I am going to be finishing this quilt in this video. If you want to get caught up on this series, there is a playlist link down below in the description box, in the pinned comment, and also on the end screen. You will see from start to end, from just looking at my scraps to creating this quilt top. The last video, you saw me putting the blocks together. I decided to go with no sashing. Really love my choice. And I was going to do like 6x5 blocks. I did go ahead and make it 6x6. I had to make some extra blocks, which I did. So now I have like a very square piece of fabric. I know you're not getting the best view, but I'm just trying my best. My camera, I don't know if it can go any higher. Let me see. I think it can. Not much better, but maybe a little bit. I have decided I am not going to use batting. I'm going to be just putting right sides together of the backing and sewing all the way around and turning this. That can also be done with batting, but I've done it before, so I'm going to do this one without. If you want to see this method, which is really good for smaller quilts where you just, put everything together and turn it, and you're done, no binding, nothing, it's a self-binding method, go check out my Wonky 9 patch tutorial. It's the same thing I'm doing here, but on that little quilt, I did it with batting. So this way I have one with batting and this one without. I'm also going to like it because I don't like to sew on top of batting. I don't like something puffy to look thinned out or flattened, but this will already be flat, so I can go ahead and do some stitching just to keep the two sides together. So I'm going to just move this. Did I even see how big this is? I did not. It's approximately 34 inches square. Let me make sure here. 34 by 34. My blocks were 6 inches to start, and so of course I lose some in the seam allowance. With no seam allowance, it would have been 36 by 36, but 34 by 34 didn't lose too much, just 2 inches each way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my backing right sides up. I thought this fabric had like 2 rust stains or something, so I'm trying to find it. This is just fabric that I've had for a very long time, and it has been washed and dried, but I thought I saw some marks on it. Maybe those marks came out in the wash. I don't plan on doing anything with this quilt but keeping it, so I don't really care. So I'm just going to put this right side up, and I'm going to put this one right sides down on top of it. Oops, that's not right. Right side down. And I'm not going to waste fabric, so I'm going to come down to here. Leave a little bit extra for wiggle room. Okay, I'm going to move this up and over a little bit more. And I am going to do some pinning. Just going to pin around the edges in a few places. Just so you know, I never even trimmed this quilt top. That's how little I care about it being perfectly squared up. Do not care. Now I'm going to just trim the fabric on this side without hurting myself on pins. Hate pins. And I'm just going to cut and, leave again some wiggle room. Fabric shifts, even if pinned. And I can go ahead and trim some of the excess on this side too. And I'm just going to leave this ratty end here on the bottom. We'll take care of that after. The only thing you have to remember is you can start wherever you want, but you need to leave a space because we're going to be turning this right side out. So I'm just going to start wherever, and I will probably leave like, a 6 to 8 inch opening. I'm just going to go sew all the way around the edge with probably a 1/2 inch seam allowance, just to make sure we really got it in there. I just finished sewing all the way around. I left an opening, and now I'm going to go ahead and trim. And then you can snip off a little bit from each corner if you want. Where's my stitching? Just make sure you don't snip the stitching itself, just like that, if you want a pointier end when we turn. I will admit, I usually skip that step. I might have skipped it in the wonky 9-patch. If you liked this series, you will also like the wonky 9-patch. You even get to learn how to make the wonky 9-patch blocks. It was a very fun series. I absolutely loved the way that mini quilt turned out. You can make it any size you want. And again, it will show you how to do this exact step, but with batting. Okay, I'm going to turn, if I can find my space. It's here somewhere, we do know that. Maybe I can see it better on this side. Here it is. I'm going to love this with no batting. I just know it. I'm not a fan of quilts. I don't like the actual quilting process. I don't like the way it makes quilts look. I don't like them flattened out. I love blankets. If something's going to be flat, it might as well just be a blankie. Push my corners out. No binding with this method. It's super easy. To me, it's just the best way to finish little quilts. It can be cumbersome with a big quilt, but you can do it. Just lay it all on the floor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to the machine and I'm going to just take this opening and you kind of just like, you know, put the parts inside. I'm just going to top stitch that closed and I'm going to go around the entire quilt just to make that edge, you know, keep it from rolling. I love this so much, and I don't even think I'm going to attach the two pieces. It's small enough that, you know, and it's flannel on one side, which is clingy. If I were to do anything, I might just make one gigantic X, but I'm going to leave it like this for the sake of this tutorial. You could, of course, do anything you want. You can do free motion quilting, and again, you can have batting. You just need to go watch the other series. All I did was stitch all the way around with a 1/4-inch seam allowance, and that was super easy to do. You can do this using any two pieces of fabric. It doesn't even have to be a quilt top. You can find some nice cotton fabric that you like, and you can back it with flannel, or you could use fleece. I don't care for fleece because I hate static. Hate it. And in the winter here, with the heat that we have, it gets the house very dry and there's a lot of static. So I like 100% cotton. And this is just very, very soft. And oh my goodness, I mean, the feel of it is just so nice. Do absolutely love. So I hope you enjoyed this series. I will be starting up with something different, so please subscribe and you won't miss out on anything. Just think of all the beautiful baby blankets you can make. I mean, I just want to go on and on about this. You could use a fabric panel. I just love it. Thank you so much for going on this crumb quilt adventure with me. First time I ever do crumb quilts, and I really enjoyed it. There will be more, a different method on the way. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!